You're fucking off your tits, love. Everything's changed. Love this maturity for us. Gang on loves pay me. Ooh, but there's a little bit of mystery. 2023 is gonna be the 30th year of the UFC. And if you think I'm gonna be able to mention in this short video every single fight that could potentially happen, not just in the UFC, but in all of the other promotions that are scrambling to keep up with its 30th celebrations, you're fucking off your tits, love. I get that you think I'm magical, I get it, but it's just not true. And at the same time, Santa ain't real. And also, before I actually get into the content, I'm also recording this a good few weeks in advance because I want to enjoy my festive period. And it's hard to be coherent when you're drinking Baileys from sunup to sundown. So things might change. Things will probably change in the next few weeks. You might even see phone me popping up going, alright, everything's changed, but we're gonna roll with it. So instead of expecting me to do all the frickin' work, why don't we, you and I, think of this video as like a conversation starter. I'll share some of my hopes and dreams, and you can do the same in the comments. It'll be lovely. Love this maturity for us. So let's start with some of the fights that we know we're getting. I'm not going to go in order, not chronological order anyway, because we all know which fight I want to talk about first. Islam Makhachev, Alexander Volkanovski. Dominant champ Volkanovski has not had a challenge in a little while, so now he's moving up a weight class and putting both his 22 fight win streak and his pound for pound ranking on the line. Now, I'm not going to talk about the pound for pound ranking because I don't believe that Islam beating Volk should automatically make him pound for pound champ. I don't believe he should be, what is he at the moment, 5th? I think all of that, whatever MMA maths is going into that is complete bullshit. But the fight, I want to see what Volk can do when he's challenged. Because even when he's not challenged, he just perpetually gets better and better and better every single time we see him. And it's a fucking joy. And this is one hell of a challenge. Now, of course, Volk is wildly confident. I'm not sure I know anyone more confident than Volk. He just strutted into that cage when, almost as soon as Islam won the belt, to challenge him for it. And he always backs himself, regardless, but the betting odds are wildly against him in this matchup. No one's picking him to win. And he even said it himself, he's looking at this like a David and Goliath sitch. Now, he has been a big boy before, but you can't just be a chonky, unmovable mass in this game. And he isn't giving himself that John Jones grace period to kind of move up and put on the right kind of heft. That being said, Volkanovski has more heart than anyone else on the planet. We haven't really seen Islam dragged into deep waters, and deep waters is where Volk thrives. He's really strong, and people are like, oh, the height difference or the size difference or whatever. He's only 3 inches shorter than Islam, and he's actually got a reach advantage. He's hard to take down and keep there. It's like a freaking springboard. He's so explosive. And he'll have the hometown advantage. Basically, what I'm saying is it's not a complete wash despite what you'll see in the betting odds, and I think it's a much closer and more exciting fight than they're making out. Obviously, Islam takes it. And on that very same card, while the featherweight king hefts up and sets his sights on second gold, his underlings jumping in his grave as fast. Yair Rodriguez and Josh Emmett are getting into it for the interim title, carving out a clear contender to face Volk when he comes back. Now, do I think Josh Emmett beat Calvin Kattar to deserve this chance? No. Am I still excited about this fucking banger of a fight? Abso-fucking-lutely. Sorry, Calvin, my morals will only take me so far. I think this is going to be one of those fights that makes us forget that we've still got a massive fight still to come that evening. And before I move on, Whittaker versus Costa, will they, won't they? It's the love story that just will not reach a passionate conclusion. The UFC all but announced it, and then Costa was like, hang on, loves, pay me. Another confirmed fight that should at least get an honorary mention for its first of its kindness, Moreno versus Figueiredo for the first quadrilogy in UFC history. Now, it's interesting because each of the previous three have all ended in a different way. We've had a draw, we've had a win for Moreno, we've had a win for Figueiredo. So we do still have a question that needs answering, and hopefully we'll get that answer in this fight. Stepping away from the world of UFC for a second, we need to talk about Fedor's retirement fight. Yes, I know he's retired before, but surely it's going to stick this time. And, you know, if Conor can retire 4 times and still be selling merch, having his name smacked about the place, even though he's out the rankings now, ooh, then you can at least have a quick bloody look at this matchup between one of the greatest ever fighters and the current Bellator heavyweight champ. Now, these two have fought before, and Bader knocked Fedor out in 35 seconds. We're hanging around. But the last emperor has been on a tiny tear, just like a little paper cut. Now, he's not that active these days, probably due to the fact he's 1,000 years old. But he hasn't lost again since that knockout. In fact, he's been handing out first round knockouts of his own. And he's coming in to add another one to that list and get some sweet, sweet ice creamy revenge in February. And it could be your last chance to set your sights on an endangered emperor penguin, so get it in your diaries, lads. Now, moving on to like fight cards that have been announced but not the lineups, or fights that are as good as confirmed but not quite. We're moving into they're almost there, but there's a little bit of mystery section. I'm working on the title, we'll get it snappier. UFC London, where do I begin? Again, at the time of recording. How many times? Drink every time I say at the time of recording, get the Baileys out. At the time of recording, I think there's only been one fight announced, and I'm not even sure it's confirmed, but that is a beaut of a fight. Vettori versus Delice. This is mystery round, so we're talking about the fights that have not yet been confirmed, but our imaginations are taking us away to. So the main event pretty much was close to ink on paper, so we thought, as close to a deal done, as close to let's not even think about talking about a different main event because we know this one's going to happen. Usman Edwards 3, but then hold up, bum 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 bum. Here it's is Kamaru out having surgery? The rumours started flying. Now the rumours started flying. Flumpy, go on, you can do it. I believe in you. Off you pop. Go on then. Go on, you can do it. Yeah, an athlete. Rumours started flying because Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, still probably with a concussion and a fair few drugs in his system, was talking about it, saying that he definitely wasn't fighting, and they were looking at Jorge Masvidal for the replacement, which is just bullshit. Jorge's on a 3-fight skid that only ended with an illegal shot in a nightclub car park. But he later came back and cleared that up, said, oh, I misspoke, I just wouldn't be surprised if they made that fight. Like, yes, there's history, but no, you don't get a title shot for that. The rumour of Kamaru still being out is perpetuating its way around the community, so we do have to consider the alternative, and Bilal is probably a good alternative, but Bilal is also a good alternative for Hamzat, who is also rumoured to be on that card. But maybe the fight to make there, everyone thinks, is Colby, but is Colby even still fighting? Is Colby even still Colby? Have we seen anything from him? But those names in some kind of order, London card, here for it. So with the headliner and potential co-main headliner all over the frickin' shop, let's talk about some of the stocking fillers, shall we? Now, Max Holloway probably isn't due another shot at Volk anytime soon, so he's gonna have to start looking down the ranking if he wants to stay moving, and looking right back at him, Arnold fricking Allen. How do we feel about that matchup? This would be one hell of a fight, One hell of a challenge for Allen. And then we get to see whether he deserves to be talked about in those top bits. Now, no London card can be discussed without mentioning the name Paddy Pimblett. Now, what's next for Paddy is a whole other conversation. But he's actually said that the March London card might be too soon for him. Like, he does want to fight before he gets married in May, but he's taking 2 weeks off in January to go on holiday to Thailand. So it might just be slightly off the ideal timing for him. Also, he feels like he's bigger than the O2 now. Maybe after a few more pizzas and burgers, am I right? Even though this one's a pay-per-view and the others were fight nights. So we'll see what happens then, but who would he fight? Because they're not going to keep that star power around for long if they keep giving him people who will easily beat him. Now, he did technically get through Jared Gordon. Just throwing it out there. Tony Ferguson. Oof. I'll just leave that one with you. Okay, so the next one is a big if, because he's back in training, but I don't know how far along his recovery he is. Tom Aspinall, Curtis Blades 2. Get him back in there. Rewind. Let's see what happens if Tom's ligaments can stay in their rightful places. This fight really kind of muddied the waters of the heavyweight title picture, and I think we need those waters filtering out. So if the knee is in full working order by March, I would like a conclusive answer. Thank you very much. And what would a UFC London card be without the shining light in the world of MMA and fighting, and definitely not in his unsavory opinions on Twitter, Mohammed Makhachev. Now, he's been calling out the whole frickin' division since he got into the UFC, but very heftily since he won his last fight. He's pretty much called out every single freaking person above him and to try and get on this London card. Now, he has just changed his management, so I am a lot more optimistic that that's why he's done it, and hopefully something will be in place before we know it. But if these fuckers keep turning down a fight with him and stop him from reaching his goal of becoming the UFC's youngest champion, that would be some bullshit. So Dana, start putting your boot on some necks, eh? Flumpy, come on, sort your life out. And finally, for this card, a wild card, but Justin Gaethje has said that he would like to fight on the same card as Kamaru. He said he thought it would be really cool to fight in London. He's spoken about fighting Poirier, but he lost to Poirier last time, and how dare he assume that he deserves a Poirier fresh off a win of Michael Chandler. So I don't know what's really in it for Poirier, unless he's just focusing on putting on another fucking incredible fight, because I would see it. I would love it also. But honestly, just get Justin on that card. I don't care who it is. And quickly, back to Bellator, they've announced that next year's Grand Prix is going to be the lightweight Grand Prix, which obviously has Usman Nurmagomedov currently at the top of the charts, and should have some big names kind of competing off for that £1 million Grand Prix prize. So that's an exciting one to watch out for. They're just wrapping up this year's. Currently, we have the final fight this month? Next month? Soon. Between Stotts and Patchy Mix. And now the third category, the pure speculation and rumours and stuff from my imagination category. The fun one, you might call it. Let's touch on a couple of likely comebacks, shall we? I said I wasn't going to give him the time of day until contracts were signed, but we've got to mention Jon Jones is currently, the word expected is too strong, but currently saying that March is going to be his return date. So let's just leave it at 2023 might be the year that we see Jon Jones come back, and that's all you're getting from me at this point. Now, the rumour is still Francis currently, but you got to remember Francis is still having contract struggles with the UFC. You know, there is a possibility that he'll never fight for the organisation again. I don't think it'll come to that, but that is a possibility. Now, if that happens, what for the division? Stipe and Gane should fight for the vacant title, but you know that Jones do what Jones wanna do. But like I said, it probably won't come to that. Hopefully we will see Jones come back, hopefully against Ngannou, and the fucking pantomime will be over. It would be a hell of a super fight though. I'd super be happy, super happy to see it. I just can't let myself be fooled again. And if you want to hear my thoughts on Jon Jones as a heavyweight, then I got a video on that and I'll link it for you on the end screen. And of course the other huge return rumoured for 2023 is Conor McGregor with a few more muscles and a few more steroids. He's been out of action and out of the USADA testing pool since his leg went all bandy fighting Poirier, but he's not been out of our hearts and minds, has he? Growing bigger with every waking moment. The rumours have been flying around that this potential steadhead has found a whole new level of dickheadishness. If you can even fathom such a thing, whatever a fathom is. And the new frame is looking likely to serve him a welterweight sandwich. And he has his eyes immediately on that top prize, as only McGregor privilege can get you. And if he can dethrone the champ, he would become the first ever 3-division champion. But I believe Dana, he definitely hasn't said he's getting Chandler, but he hasn't said that he's against the idea either. Or I think Oliveira's been mentioned. But yeah, I'll watch it. I'll watch any of it. Don't give a shit. Other fans are crying out for Jorge. It's just, you know, fan favourite sort of thing. And all that media stuff around it would be super fun, wouldn't it? And if he is looking to relaunch himself into actually fighting, then Jorge's a very beatable opponent for Conor, so he should at least consider it, even though the star power, the kind of ranking power might not be there. And who knows what kind of Conor we're going to see back. Like, is he actually going to be any good? Is his focus too unfocused? I mean, he seems to have been keeping active, but he's also a master manipulator. He's posted saying he's feeling crazy confident, disattached from emotion. Alright, Koki chops, we'll see. Now, moving on to mention a couple of potential rematches. Hopefully we're going to see Adesanya come back against Ferreira, because he was on the verge of making it his 6th straight title defense, and then a sudden flurry from Ferreira stopped him in his tracks. But put simply, he has done enough to deserve that rematch. Another fight I'd like to see, O'Malley versus Chito Vera 2. It's looking like Cejudo's going to privilege his way to the top of the charts versus Sterling, so even though O'Malley was apparently promised the next shot at the title, I think this is the fight. This is the fight. O'Malley likes to pretend that his previous loss to Vera doesn't count, so let's settle it, shall we? I also hope that Piotr Jan's losing streak comes to an end, but I also hope it doesn't come to an end versus Merab, so that's a tricky situation to find myself in. And finally, and this is final mostly because I'm sick of talking, Nate Diaz, no longer with the UFC, so what can we expect from him next? Well, his manager says we will see him fight a good few times in 2023, and at least one of those fights will be a boxing match. Potentially against Jake Paul, because who wouldn't Jake Paul fight apart from actual boxers? But Diaz also hasn't let go of the dream of landing his knuckles against Conor's face yet again, and hopefully they can figure out some kind of one-fight contract to see that fight happen. And you know, hell yes from me. He also promised to show us complete dominance in another sport, and I'm still hoping it's ping pong. Right, now fuck off. Sorry, we shouldn't be starting the year on a negative note. Instead, let me leave you with a question that you can answer in the comments. How many Dagestanis will be holding titles across the various organisations by the end of 2023?